We are on our way. Well, hello everybody. Welcome. I was trying to think of something kind of fun and relaxed to do for the holiday season, and rather than doing some kind of weird, overblown analysis piece of some piece of holiday-related animation, I thought it would be nice instead just to do we're going to do a little watch-along video. That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be watching Ponyo, the Miyazaki classic, and I'm going to be enjoying some holiday beverages. Along with it. If that's your thing, feel free to join me, and I will not be able to edit anything that I say during the next hour and a half, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting experiment. So what I need you to do is to grab a blanket of your choice, maybe 2 or 3 if you're feeling crazy, and get all cozied up even if you're at your place of work, although I don't recommend this as a workplace event, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit around and watch Ponyo. I'll be talking a little bit about the movie itself, and I have a few fun facts in the up my sleeve, but otherwise we're just hanging out. This is as casual as the channel content gets. So if that sounds cool, then we're gonna get ready to go. I'll let you know exactly when I'm starting the movie up here, and I will also go ahead and put a time code running along the bottom of the screen so that, if you want to skip around, you can, also skip around in the movie to make sure everything's lined up. Also, if you don't feel like watching the movie at all and you just want to kind of hang out and listen to me trying to be moderately entertaining for a while, that's more than welcome too. So I hope you're staying safe and having a nice holiday season in general. And otherwise, let me get my notes queued up here and I will get the movie started. Also, I apologize if there's a little bit of room noise. I usually record under quote unquote soundproof conditions, which means under a blanket, but that would be no good for an hour and a half. Also, if the cat gets up and decides to nuzzle the microphone, please forgive her for that. It's just something she likes to do. Okay, got my beverage here. Oh, it's a good one too. I'll tell you about that later. Got my blankets. That's very nice. Got the lightings down so there won't be any glare on the screen. I want to enjoy this animated masterpiece for what it really is. And okay, let me run over to the thing and hit play. I'm going to start the movie now. An hour and 40 minutes. I didn't know it was more than an hour and a half. No, it's fine. It's going to be fine. We are greeted by the classic Studio Ghibli logo, which is Totoro hanging out with a bird or something. Oh no, the sound is still on. No! Oh, we're off to a good start. Ah, yeah. Just that opening. Oh man, all this underwater goodness going on. When I was looking up the fun facts for this movie, actually, there was a long thing about how this sequence in particular was really difficult, or labor-intensive, I guess we could call it, just because they really had to lay everything out because there's so much happening, and there's so many different designs and creatures, and you can see for yourself, and even just the color happening is like just wild. There's so much. It's very visually dense, and the music, of course, although I don't get to enjoy it this time around, is just enchanting, just lovely. Oh, you hear that police siren? But by the way, I guess this is a bit of a disclaimer as well, but yeah, I live in Los Angeles, so we're pretty much guaranteed to hear some cool outside sounds during the recording because normally I would edit those out. I don't have that luxury this time around, but that's okay. Maybe it'll give it more of a homey city vibe or something. By the way, I know subs versus dubs is a continuing argument in the anime enjoying community. And but for whatever reason, I would normally go with subtitles and the original Japanese audio, but for most Ghibli movies, but especially for Ponyo, I really like the English voice acting. I just think it's a really good dub. And I mean, what? They had the support of maybe Disney or somebody when they were releasing it in the West. They had a lot of money behind it for sure. And so it's no wonder that they had really good voice actors to do it. Liam Neeson, for some reason, plays angry father here. And he's all right. I don't know. I still feel like his voice doesn't fit the character model super well. But he's a good actor, isn't he? He does all right. And is it Tina Fey who plays the mom? I immediately have to look that up. But while I am, I will say that one of the most interesting things I found out about the movie when I was doing my quote unquote research last night is that the previous Ghibli movies had pretty limited theatrical releases when they came over to the US. I think most of them prior to Ponyo opened in like maybe 30 theaters, like a few dozen theaters across the whole United States. And Ponyo had like opened in over 800 theaters or something like that. So more or less a wide release as compared to all of the previous Ghibli movies in the West. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, for one, it's 2008, so people in the West were definitely aware of Miyazaki stuff by this point. It's not like he was some weirdo foreigner. But at the same time, it's just accessible and nice. Like, and maybe that's another reason why I prefer this one to a lot of previous Ghibli movies, is that the storytelling is nowhere near as convoluted and complicated and weird as it is in something like Howl's Moving Castle or definitely Spirited Away or a lot of the classics. And I mean, I love those movies too. Don't you worry. I'm not going to come in here and tell you that those are no good. But there's a simplicity here that's just so welcome in my eyes. Love it. Oh, and these opening credits, the little animations in the background are lovely. I feel like I could have that as wallpaper, like actual wall, not like computer wallpaper. Like I want it on the wall. Whatever happened to wallpaper? I guess no one really does that anymore too much, huh? It is a real pain to scrape off, I'll tell you that. Kate Blanchett is in this movie? She's uncredited. And so is Matt Damon. What? That's not the voice I was looking for at all. Betty White is in the movie. We all know that. She does a great voice for one of the older ladies. But who's the... No. Sosuke is some... Yeah, it is Tina Fey. All that looking up just to find out that I was right. It is Tina Fey, and she's very good. She's very good as like hip mom who's not scared of nothing. And she's out there driving her car like a crazy person. It's great. What a wonderful scene. Let's just enjoy the... Oh, I talked over all the opening credits. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I did try to make a holiday cocktail. It's as yet unnamed because I don't think anyone has ever done this mixture on purpose before. But I got a whole bunch of rum here. It's over here. And I'm not usually a rum... I don't drink much in general, actually. Rum is not that great. It's fine, But I got rum. I was thinking, I could do like an eggnog thing. I've never really done eggnog before. I thought it would be festive and nice. Didn't end up buying the eggnog part of the equation, so that kind of made things difficult. But the only other mixer I had around, outside of like sometimes I'll use tea, different kinds of teas, like black tea, green tea's good, even herbal teas can be kind of a weirdly good mixer sometimes, especially if it's a cold brew situation. But this time around, the only mixer I had here in the house was cranberry juice, and not like the awful cranberry cocktail stuff you find where it's mostly apple juice and it's it's in a big thing, it's a gallon of whatever, and it doesn't taste, it kind of gives you a headache because it's so sugary and awful. This is the 100% cranberry juice. That's actually pretty expensive, relatively speaking, and it still has a bunch of sugar. But it's really nice and tart, and for some reason, that has been working really well with the rum, and I have no idea why. The other mildly interesting reason I've brought up the cocktail situation at all is because, let's call this a Christmas party. I'm going to have a couple of these just because I'm being safe. I'm at home, having a nice time watching Ponyo. And at some point, I will run out of that mixer. At some point, I will, in fact, run out of the cranberry juice stuff. And that's where things are going to get interesting. So if you needed a reason to keep watching/listening, there it is for you. Here's Sosuke. Now, here's a question. Well, more of an impression. How about this? This is as good a time as ever to talk about like my personal history with Ponyo, because we all love Ponyo for different reasons, and I think we all came to Ponyo at different times in our lives, especially depending on how old we are. That's kind of a big factor. And for me, I was super, super late to pretty much every Studio Ghibli movie in existence. I don't think I even... Spirited Away might have been the first one, and I was at least in college by that point. So these were not childhood movies for me. They don't have that huge nostalgia factor that I might attach with the Renaissance Disney stuff or really early Pixar, or the weird off-brand animated movies that I ended up watching as a kid. But by the time I got around to Ponyo, it took me a long time because I always looked at the poster, which is awful. It's a very bad poster because it's like, is there melted glass over her head? Like what is she with no context? It just looks like a weird monster fish thing. So it never felt very appealing. I never sought it out. Eventually saw it, and I was just like, you know what? This is easily one of my favorite Ghibli movies just because the stakes are so low in comparison to some of their other stuff. And, you might be saying, hey, the stakes aren't that low. Isn't technically the balance of the universe in flux at some point, and like there's a potential that the sea will take over the entire planet or something along those lines? And also, Ponyo might die or something. There's a weird thing at the end. But in general, it doesn't have the same tension or weird overbearing sense of anxiety that you get in something like Spirited Away, which has a ton of it, or definitely Howl's Moving Castle, because you have really clearly defined bad guys and like they have giant planes and crazy machines and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, bad stuff could definitely happen here. But in Ponyo and Kiki's Delivery Service, I also considered doing Kiki's, but maybe another time. In both of those movies, it's just sit back and have a nice time. Like, technically there is a plot and technically there is conflict, but you're going to be okay. You really don't have to worry too much about it. It's all going to turn out okay in the end, and you never feel like, oh no, something bad is going to happen really soon. This is a pretty good beverage. In fact, even if you're not a person who enjoys alcohol, or if you're too young to do that kind of thing, or whatever your reasons are, I still recommend trying to put together a hot toddy at some point, which is a very funny name for a cocktail, but it's actually very good, and it's pretty easy to do without alcohol, and also you can basically just put other things in it. Like if you want to do it with apple cider and like cinnamon and stuff like that, you can. It's just another nice warm drink to have in winter times, holiday times, because outside of that, I think my warm drinks are really limited to coffee, tea, maybe hot chocolate if I happen to pick some up. But coffee's not really a cozy drink. I mean, it's very nice and refreshing in a weird way, but it's not a cozy, blanket time beverage for me, anyway. I guess we can talk about that. Did I have any more fun facts about the movie? Now that we're 10 minutes in, I feel like I'm almost out of them. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really don't have too many fun facts. I did hear that Sosuke, as a character, and probably more specifically just like the character model, was based on Miyazaki's son Goro, who, at least it was based on him when he was like 5. You know, it supposedly looks a little bit like him, which is cute. It's very cute. And, oh shoot, what was the other? Oh my gosh. If you guys haven't seen this one video, wow, that's what I'm going to do, huh? I'm just going to give recommendations for other videos you can watch on YouTube. Somebody turned me on to this video. And chances are, if you're like a big Miyazaki fan and you've seen like the documentaries and everything already, you'll probably already know about this clip. And I don't know if it was shot for a different documentary or what, but it's Miyazaki going to the big premiere of his son Goro's first feature film. It's an animated movie that he made. I forget the title of the movie, and I don't think I've ever actually seen that one. But Miyazaki goes there with his wife, and they sit down for the big premiere, and it's a big theater showing and lots of people and everything. And I hope this isn't too sad to bring up. And even if I tell you what happens, it's still worth checking out the video for sure. But they sit down, and yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, maybe halfway through the movie or something, maybe like the first half hour or something. Miyazaki gets up, leaves the theater, not for good, but he like steps out into the lobby, and lights up a cigarette. And there's a film crew there for some reason, like I said, and he just, explains to them, he's like, wow, I'm not enjoying this at all. Like, it is tough for me to sit through this. Like, it felt like hours and hours in there. And even in this clip, the voiceover speculates, like, well, the movie itself has, like, a lot of moments that feel like they're directly lifted from Ghibli movies, at least in tone and style. And you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And it's also understandable. And I don't even necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like, it's the guy's dad. There's definitely going to be a certain level of inspiration there, especially if he spent so much of his time working on movies. But wow, what a clip. And he does go in and finish it. So, there's that. He didn't just completely abandon the screening. But I found that very funny. And funny that he was so honest about his feelings in front of a camera crew. Oh, boy. Ponyo's face here in the bucket is great. Oh, no, it was just that the water line made it look like she had a big goofy smile, and I loved it. I might have to grab that as like a screen cap later on. That's wonderful. Oh, is everybody hearing this motorcycle outside? Let's all enjoy it together. How about? It's almost soothing if you don't enjoy sleeping or things like that. Now here we are at, I guess, I don't know, Sosuke, is he in preschool? Is that like his age range? It definitely looks like a preschool. It looks very, very young. I also like that this town supposedly just has an old folks home and a preschool, and that's it. Like anyone who falls in between those age ranges must just be working, I guess. Or out on a boat somewhere. Maybe the grade school is on a boat. That would make sense to me for some reason. Yeah. I guess I can comment a little bit on the backgrounds too, just because, and I guess this may as well be a this is probably a consistent thing for a lot of Ghibli movies as well, but the the contrast in style and shading between character models and backgrounds is pretty stark, and that's not a bad thing at all. For one thing, it helps the characters pop. It's also just not really a logistic possibility to shade the actual characters in the same way as all the backgrounds, like with that much detail. Oh yeah, let's. Oh, good motorcycle stuff here. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Anyway, despite all that, the backgrounds are lovely. I don't know why they give me a vibe of like crayons in a way, because it's not. Like, it's absolutely not that. But did I just pick the time of day where there would be the most sirens and outside noises? Was that? I feel like that was on purpose now, but like subconsciously. Is this my least favorite part of the movie? Like when he's still figuring things out about Ponyo. I think Ponyo pre human form is probably one of my least favorite parts of the movie. Just because, for one thing, we only get hints of Ponyo's character. Like, we kind of get that she's sassy and joyful and stuff, but only in installments. And since she's just like a fish thing in a dress, weird thing, she almost feels like a pet, and like that's not the relationship they end up having. So it's just not my favorite. And I guess Sosuke doesn't have to be in class either, huh? He's just kind of bumming around. I think that's the Betty White. I don't have the audio switch. I think that's the Betty White woman there. Yeah. What color is my scene? Huh. I was going to mention that at some point, how Sosuke and his mom and some of the older ladies have like the cool undercut look. They have like shaved hair around the sides and then longer hair on the top. And at first I was going to say, wow, that's like very fashion forward for when this movie was released, but it's really not, is it? Because this was released in 2008 originally, and the undercut was certainly a thing then. Also, I cannot speak at all to Japanese hairstyle trends in any era. But apparently it was just already a thing. And it's so far, the style has aged very well, hasn't it? At least for this movie. Toki. That lady is named Toki. Are any fish actually bad luck? Is that a thing in certain cultures, that like certain fish you just don't want around? That seems strange to me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Has your town ever had a flood? I guess that's not the sunniest conversation topic, but I do have distinct memories of, I guess it wasn't really my hometown, but places nearby would have what are they called? Like the high water lines. They'd put them on like a tree or something around town. And it was just to mark, like, hey, in this year there's this big flood, and here's where the water level was, which is interesting in like a historical way, I guess, and sort of a local heritage thing, but at the same time it's terrifying. In this town, they had the lines earlier, and you're like, oh yeah, of course they would have to measure that stuff, especially given what happens very soon to this poor small town. Was this town, I don't even know if it has a name. I know it's fictional, but it seems like a very direct influence on the setting of the contemporary show Bee and Puppy Cat, which, if you're into animation, you've probably already seen it by now. But that's one of those shows that feels like American anime in a weird, it's like people who are very clearly influenced by anime growing up, and they're taking certain elements of that, or like world building or tone, or certainly visual style as well. And yeah, they're just on like some idyllic island in that show, and it's kind of great. And for some reason, just visually, that setting reminds me a lot of this little town in Ponyo. Big emphasis on boats, obviously. Yeah. There's Tina Fey. She's just trying to work, and now her child is out in the ocean. Come on. What is she supposed to do? She's just trying to make a living. Her husband's doing something on a boat. Does he fish? Is that what the dad does? He's like a fisherman? Not Ponyo's dad, but Sosuke's dad, Oh, that's a good sound. It's a very good, like, domestic sound here. This is now an ASMR video with a teacup. Oh. Ooh. Hope you're wearing headphones. This is going great. I love how accurate this busy parking lot is. It reminds me of any time that I have been to any Trader Joe's in my life. And I feel like this is some comedian's bit, so I don't want to go too far into it. But didn't somebody come up with the idea of, like, is that on purpose? Like, is that part of the Trader Joe's franchise branding, that they always make the parking lot way too small, because then that way it looks to everybody like it's packed all the time? And it is usually very busy, sure, in general, but like, you're going to have a tough time getting a spot. And it's not even just in LA. Like, I had that at Trader Joe's places in other major American cities as well. Sometimes in the suburbs, they'll give you a nice big parking lot, but this is what we're talking. This is the level of entertainment, by the way. We're talking about Trader Joe's parking lots and the logistics and conspiracy theories surrounding that stuff. That's what I've got for you, and I think it's great. This is actually pretty fun. Well, I'll tell you what. It's time to refill this beverage glass and maybe come up with a name for this. So, like, rum is a very earthy, right? It's a very earthy kind of thing. Oh, that's not the best sound. Very muted flavor, right? And then we've got the very tart cranberry juice thing going on. So I feel like we need a name that somehow encapsulates both elements in like a fire and ice kind of way, but not that, because that's not what it is. It also ends up being like a very dark red, kind of a burgundy thing going on. Does that help at all? Tell you what, I'm going to think on this. And if you have any ideas, you feel free to let me know. I guess it's a laptop to the left. Wow, isn't that crazy? The way it was shaped, I was like, is that like a hot pad or like a... I had no idea. It kind of looks like a giant trackpad that you would have on a computer. But that's what laptops used to look like. Wow. That's wild. Much more bubbly and curvy and, Look at how nice and bright and colorful the house is here. It's very comfy, but it's not understated, it's realistic, but it still pops a lot. And look, Mom's going to have a nice tall boy there. She just popped open a beer. I think that's great. And they have their own little light, whatever the light is called, with the shutters in front of it. I think that's neat. Oh, there's absentee dad. Here he comes. He's gonna swing by on his boat. Was this part of the charter for the trip? Like, by the way, this one night we're just gonna kind of do like a drive-by. No, not a drive-by. Like a boat, a float-by by my house, so that my kid can flash a light and do some Morse code stuff. Is anyone else very bad at figuring out Morse code? Because I am. I don't mind telling you that at all. Oh boy, the words are already starting to... Oh gosh. But yes, I do. I feel like there's some point in school where they taught us Morse code, and not like in earnest, but like, here's what Morse code was, and here's why it was important to communication, and like, here's the alphabet. And I never listening to it, like I cannot distinguishing between a dot and a dash is one thing, but then also trying to distinguish the gaps in between letters and words, because there's a certain type of gap in between letters, and then there's a different type of gap between words, and then there's a different type of gap between sentences. And it's just too much for me. My internal vocabulary of pauses is limited in such a way that it all just seems like the same thing. It seems like one very long word that's just nonsense. And while we're getting off topic, and by the way, I plan to get very off topic. I don't think we're only going to touch on Ponyo here and there. Oh, now we get to hear my neighbor doing stuff. This is what it's like to live in an apartment building. This is experiential entertainment, I'm bringing you into the environment. Oh boy, what was I going to talk about? I had something mildly interesting. What was it going to be? Oh yeah. So we're inside this house, and I like the decorating / set dressing of the house. I guess it falls into background design because we're talking about animation and not live action filmmaking. But I really like how the house is designed. All these spaces. This isn't right what we're seeing now. Liam Neeson's bottle laboratory is also very well designed in its own way, and it gives us some character information passively. But all that stuff in the house especially, and we're going to have one of my favorite scenes in the house later on. Not quite there yet. But it just reminded me that the other day I finally got around to playing that interactive fiction game that I'm sure plenty of you have heard of, called What Remains of Edith Finch, that came out of Giant Sparrow Studios, or whatever they call themselves. They made a game called Unfinished Swan, and in both things, the interaction element is very limited. You're mostly just there to experience the story. Anyway, and I was thinking of doing a video on Edith Finch because I really enjoyed the experience, and I thought that I might have one or two interesting things to say about it and the format and everything. I don't know whether that'll happen or if anybody would actually care about it, but while I'm here, I may as well say my little piece on it, which is really just that the story segments are great, and that's the focus of the game. Is like every once in a while you'll get a specific story for a specific family member, and you get to essentially inhabit them and live out a specific scene from their life. That's the big draw, but for me, the really successful part was just being in the family house at all, in any part of it, because the environmental designs in that house are so good and so inherently evocative and detailed and interesting and also pretty. That's really what drove me to keep playing it and to stay invested in all the storytelling. And in fact, the moment that I actually got into the house, the first, I don't know, 5 minutes of the game or whatever, I think I actually just said "wow" out loud to myself. I was alone playing the game, just on like a weekday night. And as soon as I got in the house, I was just like, wow, okay, all right. You got me, guys. Like, just the level of detail and also how good it looks. Like, it's basically photorealistic in terms of art style. Because whenever they have to have human character models in the game, they don't look as great. They're a little bit low tech and limited by budget and everything. But when you're just in a room and you're by yourself and you're not looking at your own avatar's arms or body parts or anything, it's just great. The atmospheric sounds, the ambient sound, the sound design stuff is wonderful. The lighting and how that changes throughout the course of the game is just great. And yeah, the atmosphere, the gestalt of being in these spaces, all those different pieces coming together to form this very specific tone, and at least getting me to the point where I felt like I could basically work out a lot of the stories for myself. They probably wouldn't have ended up being as interesting as the stories they actually tell in the game. But what a great job they did of making it feel like a real place. And I think that's something we can say about a lot of set design stuff or art direction stuff in any form of filmmaking. Is just that when it works. You just feel it inherently when it really works. And I definitely get that with Sosuke's house. What is Sosuke's mom's name? Does she have a name? She has a name. I don't think they have like a family name though, do they? Lisa is Sosuke's mom's voice, which seems strange because Lisa definitely sounds like a Western name to me, as opposed to Sosuke, which is not. Drink 2. We're having fun. We are a certain way amount of time through the movie. I do not know how long. So one of the only other fun facts I had actually about Ponyo is that there are a number of references to the very famous Wagner opera, and you might have heard of this one before. But it's the Nürburgring, der Ring des Nibelungen. Boy, this immediately got complicated, didn't it? It's a famous work by Wagner. Wagner's not a great guy, but he was very important to Western music and everything. Flight of the Valkyries is a musical theme you've heard a million times. That is from that opera. Anyway, a couple character names in this movie are based on that, or just taken from that opera directly. So Brunhilde, which is Ponyo's birth given name, is directly taken from that opera. That character in the Wagner opera is like some kind of, what is she? Some kind of deity or something, and she falls in love with an earthbound person. So the parallels are not subtle. But at the same time, I think the fact that weird Liam Neeson guy and telling us what her real name is just a really good way of communicating that there's a significant amount of separation between the worlds, right? I mean, other than the visual differences that are very obvious, and like, these are not humans here. Liam Neeson is not a human character. Ponyo is not inherently human, at least at first. But yeah, it gives us a very distinct line between, like, here's the familiar world, and then over here we have, in fact, this might be interesting. But typically in the the hero's journey narrative structure, which is a whole topic. It's the hero themselves, most likely male, but we'll say themselves for contemporary storytelling, is often marked as the hero by leaving the familiar, right? At the sometime in the first act, they leave the familiar, go to the world of the unfamiliar, and then eventually, by the end of the story, they will return to the world of the familiar and back to comfort and safety and everything. And so, in that, with that perspective, is Ponyo the hero of the story? I mean, the movie is named after her, but I never really saw it that way, just because our POV character is Sosuke, and 99% of the time, your POV character is going to be the hero or the protagonist, if we're going to use a more general term. That's actually kind of interesting. I wasn't planning on coming up with something even close to that interesting. Now Ponyo is returning, quote-unquote, home, I guess, right? She's going back landside. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look how dramatic this is. Oh, my gosh. Whoa. She's so happy. Oh, all of her sister fish. Oh, man. They're just, look at this. This is like Power Rangers or something. Whoa. Whoosh. This is great. Oh, wait, they're just fish now. Oh. Is that like their true form, or did they just do that to help her out? Whoa, look out. Boats. Oh, there's fish coming from, but they're made of water. Oh, no. People just died there. Nah, it's fine. Everybody's fine. I think the kill count on Ponyo is hopefully 0, unless one of the old ladies dies, and they just didn't show it to us, you know. And here she comes. Is this the Flight of the Valkyries moment? In the music, they bring up that theme, at least in reference, but I don't have the audio on, so I can't confirm that, but you can. You would definitely recognize that melody. Here we are. Oh, they're starting to... we're breaking into the storm scene now. I wish I knew the time code of when the storm starts, because it's basically a huge chunk of the middle of the movie, and it also happens to line up with just one of my favorite sections. Okay, Sosuke's on his way home in his little rain poncho. Does anybody out there, of the 15 people who will end up listening to this, please let me know if you are a person who has, at one point in your life, owned a yellow raincoat, like the legendary yellow raincoat that nobody actually has. You know, I don't know if it's a rubber or plastic or whatever that we always see in movies and cartoons and stuff. When did that even start? Why is that a thing? What is the yellow raincoat all about exactly? There's Lisa. We know her name now. Lisa is Sosuke's mother, and she's like, here you go. We're getting blankets to the seniors. We just parked them all in front of the window so they can watch the storm, which is, it's not that funny. I love doing that. I mean, we don't get a lot of thunderstorms out here, but I love just watching a rainstorm. It is a fun time. It's very relaxing. And it also kind of reminds me, isn't that a joke in The Simpsons? One of the many old folks home jokes where someone new comes into the home and they're like, well, if you're smart, you'll get in early and get a good seat by the staring window. There's like 5 people just watching the one leaf left on a tree. And that's like the big attraction. I'm just laughing about The Simpsons now in my Ponyo watch along. Is that good? Is that good content? Oh, the power's back, but that makes it less cozy. Isn't that a weird Should I tell my power outage story? Man, we're really dipping into the cool anecdotes now. These are the juicy ones. Wow. Maybe after I refill here, I can tell the power outage story. So thankfully, I'm very grateful for this, but here in Los Angeles, we don't get a ton of big power outages, which is a great thing. Back in the day, they used to do a lot of like rolling blackouts and brownouts, strategically to like save on power, or if there was a fire risk and things like that. And for whatever reason, for all the time that I've lived here, which is not an insignificant amount of time, I've never had a power outage. And even in general, I think like in the years that I've been living on my own, I don't think I've ever experienced that. Growing up, sure, there were power outages, and a rainstorm or like a downed tree or something, or the really bad ones are if there was a power outage during a snowstorm, during a blizzard, and then you're without lights and stuff. And if you have electric heating, whoops-a-daisy, you might have a rough time for a few days. But out here, we just haven't gotten them. Again, I'm very appreciative. I feel very blessed that I haven't had to deal with that. And this was maybe a couple months ago where all of a sudden, basically just like my little slice of the neighborhood here, had this power outage. And it was like, I don't know, it was like maybe an hour before sunset. So it's already kind of starting to get dark. It's the golden hour thing going on, and no power. And I'm just like, okay. I suddenly realize that I am not prepared for this in any way whatsoever. In the most important way in which I wasn't prepared was I don't have any emergency supplies. I mean, I do now, but at the time I was like, I don't have any candles because the cat will knock them over for certain, and that's no good. I had like little tea candles for a while, but I got rid of those at some point. So I don't have any candles. I don't have like a flashlight of any kind. I don't have like a power brick charger to like charge up my phone in the case of an emergency. I had nothing. There's no emergency stuff. And not that I was worried, like, it's a power outage. You're not in danger. Everything's fine. The stuff in the fridge might go bad after a while, but that's about it. Still, it was maybe 6 or 7 p.m. All the lights went out. There is zero natural nighttime light out here. We're not going to get any moonlight. There's nothing. There's like, and of course the street lights were also out. So there was absolutely no source of light. My phone was just about dead. All the computers were either dead or were going to die very soon, or, the batteries were trash. So that wasn't an option. And all of a sudden I was just like, okay, I can't go to sleep yet because it's not even 9. And no part of me feels tired. I'll just end up sitting in bed and getting angry that I'm not falling asleep. And even when I started to think like, well, what do I do? What do I normally do when I'm not doing something based in electronics? Like, what is my source of entertainment or passing the time? Like, yeah, I could write stuff down. I could think up video ideas or articles or things to write, or like I could read a book, but I was like, well, no, I can't do any of that because there's zero light. It's like pitch black. I've got nothing. So I was like, okay, is this extreme? This isn't extreme enough to like drive to a friend's house just to have some way to pass the time. That seems a little bit silly. So what I did end up doing was I sat in my place, and I basically just sat on the couch and stared at the wall and said, well, all right. There was just nothing. There was nothing in my brain. No one else lives here. It's not like I was going to start up a fun conversation with somebody. Like, absolutely nothing to do. And this is like this is a non-problem, right? Just not being able to entertain yourself for a while. Although, I'm definitely one of those people who I really like to have background noise most of the time. If I'm just at home alone or if I'm working on something and stuff, or like if I'm awake, basically, there's something playing in the background, whether it's music or nature sounds I'll do sometimes, or things like that, or like maybe a show that I'm not too invested in. I'll just let it play in the background. And I know plenty of you out there as well are a similar way. Like you just get used to having some kind of media happening in your life, and it's a way to fill space and to not dwell on certain thoughts that you don't want to dwell on. And all of a sudden, all of that was taken away. And it was just me and my thoughts. And I think even the cat was just like, I'm just going to sleep, so you don't even get to hang out with me. And it was an interesting evening. It's an experience that I'm glad I had. And all that was to say, I mean, it's not a great story, but isn't there something just so cozy and nice and weirdly fun about a power outage? Especially when you know that like you're safe, everything's fine. It's probably not going to be a problem for an extended period of time. You just get to feel cozy and like it's not even a survival feeling because there is no danger, but just the sense of like, you know what? When everything gets back to normal, I will probably have a much better sense of appreciation for all of that stuff. I'm going to appreciate the microwave more. I'm going to appreciate being able to charge my phone and being able to do things on my phone and listen to music and all this fun stuff. And I kind of did, for maybe the next day. And that's about it. Look at that. Oh, just in time for Ponyo to become a person, basically for good. Right? I think at this point she's like, she doesn't turn back after this, does she? And she even has a similar hairstyle to Sosuke. How about that? Are these the primary color? No, green is not a primary color. I was going to say we have the red and the yellow with their outfits, but the pale is green. So close. It's like, yeah, I'm Ponyo. I'm a fish. Are you surprised? You shouldn't. This is very normal for me. And the best part, this is one of my favorite lines from Lisa here. Maybe soon after they go inside. Whoa, they're all the fish sisters. There they go. She's just like, hey, it's good, guys. Thanks for the help. I'm going to live on land now, if that's cool. Hey, in concept, too, does this remind anybody else of the Tom Moore movie? Oh, wait, this is the line. What was this? Oh, almost. I just like how Sosuke's mom just hits a point of like, okay, like we're just going to accept this and move on because I got things to do. She's like, I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out how a fish girl that I met earlier this morning is now a person. Who's that? Wait, is that Eugene? Are you okay? You okay, sweetie? Are you alright? I heard you whining. Huh? Did you have a bad dream? You want to come say hi? Yeah, it's okay. Yes. That's a good girl. Yeah. You want to come sit over here? Got a blanket. Sorry about that. We do have a blanket, and it's great. This is so cozy. I love it. And if I close my eyes real tight, I can imagine that it's snowing outside. It's not. I'm also not going to close my eyes because then I would miss out on this great Ponyo action. Look at this great blanket they have in the movie, too. What is that? It looks like a liquefied sheep. Exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. Water, because they have their own well. Right, Sosuke? Yeah. We used to have a well growing up. Had our own water well. Not like the one from the Ring or anything with like the cobblestone structure, but it was pretty nice. It was cool. It was kind of an out of the way house, so you know. Ponyo's just jumping off the walls here, just losing it. She's a person now. That's what people do. You can just run around and stuff. She's got that cool emergency light. See, they're prepared. They got all this stuff. I don't get a survivalist vibe from their family at all, but they still have what you need. They can still get their stuff started. They can cook their food. They are taken care of. Oh, this is some of the best honey in animation right here. Are you ready for it? Oh, Ponyo's into it too. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Did you see that? I feel like I had that exact spoon at some point. Go into your kitchen and look at your spoons right now. Does it have a little floral pattern on it? I feel like that's very common for silverware. They're just loving it. They're just like, I'm just hanging out. This is great. I got my tea or hot chocolate or something. It's got honey in it. And I mean, what else do you want, right? I think that's what we're all aiming for, really. We just want some good tea and maybe a blanket or two. That's the American dream right there. And also maybe the British dream. I don't know what they want. Do you want to sit over here? Huh? Look. Hey, kitty cat. Look. We got a nice blanket. Yeah. Yeah. You want to come sit down? Nah, she's looking at me like I'm crazy. Which is fair enough. Ponyo likes ham. It's a borderline meme for some reason. She's very into ham. Is that a thing? Do any fish... As soon as I started that sentence, I was like, well, yeah, of course. I was going to say, do any fish eat meat? But, I mean, most fish eat other fish, right? Like a great number of fish. And fish meat is kind of meat. This is going nowhere. This is nothing. And this is where we find out that Ponyo even has a mom, right? She's like, by the way, my mom is kind of the ocean. I guess we don't know that quite yet. That's what I was going to say earlier. The basic premise of this story. Does it remind anyone else of that Tom Moore movie called Song of the Sea from a few years back? It's an Irish movie. Tom Moore is an Irish animation guy. He has a studio, the name of which I completely forget, and they have made some really cool stuff. They made The Secret of Kells, which is an acclaimed animated movie at the time, and Song of the Sea has Lisa Hannigan in it and everything. It's very good. And they did one this year, Wolf Walkers or something like that. It's like an Apple Plus movie. And there's a girl who's also a wolf or something, which, okay, cool. I haven't been able to watch it yet. I'd kind of like to review that movie if I can get my hands on it. But anyway, Song of the Sea, the family mom is a selkie, which is like a kind of like a folklore thing. It's like a sea woman or something, or like a sea spirit of some kind. And so one of the kids is half selkie or something, and she can't go too far away from the ocean, which makes a lot of sense. And that's why as soon as Ponyo got out of the water here, I was like, is she under like similar contractual obligations to never go too far inland? Like, I don't know if she ends up marrying Sosuke 10, 15 years down the, I guess at least 15, 20 years down the line, if they want to do it legally. But is it like, I feel like that would be limiting in where they're allowed to live. I don't know what Sosuke's into. Like, does he have a personality other than just being nice? Like, he's nice. He cares about things. He's thoughtful, but I don't get a sense of like his interests. Maybe he's going to be a marine biologist. I don't know if this was a thing where you guys grew up, but for some reason, a shocking number of my classmates, I'm going to say around the time of like late grade school, maybe like middle school time, whenever we would have to go around and say like, oh, here's what we think we'd like to do, like as a profession, like, the careers and stuff that we were interested in. A ton of people, like a disproportionate number of people would say that they wanted to be marine biologists. And I don't know why. And I don't want to say that, as a profession, it's a fine profession. It's actually really cool work, and it's certainly important from an ecological perspective and everything. But at the same time, I grew up somewhere that was completely landlocked, and I don't understand why. I also think that a lot of people, the impressions they have of the job they would like to have early on often has a lot to do with the media they consume as kids, So it's never a shocker when really little kids want to be like, oh, I think it would be cool to be a firefighter or a policeman or astronaut stuff, because these are the handful of things they're even aware of as jobs at that age, Like you watch your Cartoon City show where there's 3 jobs, You're not going to run into an accounts receivable person in a kid's show. Anyway, so I don't know if there were maybe it was somehow related to SpongeBob, because that guy was had something to do with marine biology, and that was an inspiration for the show. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. I don't understand why so many people wanted to do that, and I think very few of them ended up pursuing that for very long. Oh no, one of their planter pots got knocked over. Is it kind of weird that this family doesn't have a backup boat? Just in case, because they're, on their own little hilltop. And as we see here, the water gets so high, they have no other way to leave. So would it make sense for them to just have a dinghy sitting around? Kind of like people who live very close to the water in Seattle or someplace like that, where there's just water so close by you could almost commute in a boat. Why not just get, why not spend $50, get a little old rowboat? I don't know how much rowboats cost. And that has determined what I'm going to do next, which is hop on Craigslist and look for tiny boats. This is the good stuff here. This is what you came for. How do you spell dinghy? Not die guy. Dinghy. Dinghy. Okay, first result. Impressionistic dinghy acrylic painting on canvas. You know what? I'm even going to save a picture of this so I can put it in the edit, because this costs $350. And I know there's no accounting for taste, but that's not exactly my taste. Not really my thing. Second result. Catamaran inflatable dinghy, 11 feet, but that cost $600. I mean, it's inflatable. I feel like if it was not inflatable, I would maybe pay for that. Maybe dinghy is the wrong terminology here. Because the next one is a 12-foot dinghy, 1989, with a 25 horsepower Yamaha outboard motor for more than $3,000. Like, here we go. Here we go. Dinghy, title, registered 2021, floats, reglute. Oh, there's a lot of boat terminology here. It was $150. That's, I feel like if I lived on a hilltop that was in danger of, having ocean water all around it, I would pay $150 just to have a dinghy sitting in the backyard. And if the neighbor comes by and says, "Hey, why do you just have a boat sitting there? You never take it out or anything? I don't see you out there." I'll just say, "Well, just in case. Just in case. I want something that floats. Because I can't count on a door, or a bunch of books, or luggage, as was the case in Joe versus the Volcano, which is it's a very good movie. You should check that one out. Oh boy, here comes Ponyo's mom, who's like the essence of the ocean or something, I guess. But she's not like all of the ocean, because there's still an ocean when she's not around. Maybe like all of the ocean is somehow her dress. Does that make any kind of sense? Is that what am I going to name this cocktail? I was going to say, is that the thing talking, but I don't have a name for it yet. Sosuke's dad, who does he look like? I mean, I know he looks like an anime man, but he looks like somebody specific. Okay, so these guys know Ponyo's mom. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's that lady. It's that lady. Oh, there she goes up the giant water." What a great image, by the way. Sorry, just to get off track and return to Ponyo. Like, what a cool... just a bunch of boats stuck at the bottom of this huge just wall of water. So cool. Just surreal and lovely, and oh my gosh, it's wonderful. It's a great little composition there. We're getting through it now, fellas. We're getting there. It says that I've been recording for over an hour. I'm guessing the movie itself is around an hour. It's fine. I'll have the time code up in case you want to know what it actually is. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We're having fun. And I need to fill this back up. That's what I need to do. Is it possible? This is sort of a theoretical thought experiment question for all of us to chew on here while we're enjoying the movie. Is it possible? Put yourself in this situation. You're inside your house or just somebody's apartment, a place where you feel safe and secure, and you're comfortable there. And it's nighttime, and there's someone outside the window. Is it possible for that person to be there in a way where it doesn't seem inherently threatening? Like, even if it's someone you're not typically threatened by in any real sense, or like put off by, I feel like no matter what, that image will always be a certain level of disturbing or weird, or like there's a sinister quality that comes about in that image. And like, even if it's Tom Hanks, like if it was 11 p.m., 3 in the morning, whatever, it's dark out, whether I was asleep or whether I was awake and doing something, if I turned around and looked out the window and saw Tom Hanks just standing there in the weird, hazy yellow street light, I don't think I'd be into it. Like, on the one hand, I would log it away and I would say, "Hey, you just saw Tom Hanks in real life," and like, that's notable enough that you can mention it to a friend the next time you see him, you know, or if you talk to your parents on the phone, like, oh yeah, like by the way, I saw Tom Hanks. You wouldn't mention the circumstances, of course, because that would make it weird. But the other part of you would just be like, what? Why? Why is anyone doing this? And why are they looking at me? You know, it's inherently, ugh, no thanks. So seeing Liam Neeson with red hair outside of the window in like a barber's jacket or whatever he's wearing like a smock on top of a pinstripe suit or something. It's very interesting fashion choices here. The satellites are falling. Oh, this is another cool image. It's not falling stars. It's not meteorites or whatever they're called when they're actually falling. It's just all the satellites are just, forget it. They're done. They're all crashing into the earth, all hopefully into the ocean and not falling on human people. Oh my goodness. I went ahead and got the bargain bottle of rum, which both refers to price and the amount. There's a lot. I have like barely. I'm not even gonna make a dent in this thing, and then I'm just gonna have a bunch of it around that I will not drink. The cranberry juice, that will be gone sooner rather than later. That's for sure. That is for sure. And here we are. And again, this is the time when you're kicking yourself for not buying that dinghy from Fred. Fred, who runs, Moe's Discount Dinghies and More down by the pier. Like, you had your chance. And that looks like an Octorok. That was involuntary, by the way. I guess I should. Yeah, I've been replaying a lot of Breath of the Wild lately for kicks, and the way that little plant, the leaves are sticking out of the water right away. My brain was just like, oh, it's an Octorok. You gotta get him. Like, take out the bow. That guy's no good. He's gonna pop up and shoot rocks at you. I didn't mean to say that out loud to the microphone, but here we are. I don't like Ponyo's weird claw hands that she has. Like, sometimes it's like mid-transformation hands. They're almost like crow's feet or something. I'm not a fan. I don't understand why they would include that. Okay. This is cool. Did anybody actually ever have this toy? Is this a real toy where, like, it generates heat to propel itself along? Like, that's pretty cool. But I also feel like today you probably wouldn't be able to sell a toy that involves having an open flame inside of it. I feel like that would be a hard sell, and the parents' magazines would have like a thing or two to say about that. Yeah. But for the circumstances, you know, it works just fine. Looks like it would be a good time, right? Maybe I should cut my hair like Sosuke tomorrow morning. Seems like a good move, right? Have my coffee and just... Remember how important jellyfish were to SpongeBob? Like, as a series, not just to the character himself. Oh, such a big... Have you ever been stung by a jellyfish? I have. I don't have a very good story about it because I don't remember it all that well, but I was pretty young. We were at the beach, doing a beach vacation, and there were jellyfish. And it wasn't like the typical big spindly leg ones that you see in cartoons or in nature docs and stuff like that, or in that one scene from Finding Nemo, which I haven't watched for a really long time, and there's a helicopter. Uh-huh. That's the thing about LA. There are quite a few helicopters. Uh-huh. Yep. But it wasn't that kind of jellyfish. It was like little tiny. I should look it up somehow. I feel like there are a bunch of different varieties of jellyfish. They're little tiny ones, kind of translucent, and little globules. And yeah, like, I definitely didn't see him or anything. I was just swimming around, having a great time in the water, doing the wave stuff. Very exciting when you're a child. And yeah, I didn't feel the jellyfish. I just felt the pain, the stinging pain that resulted from them. And it was not fun. It definitely wasn't strong enough to, really mess me up or anything. It's fine. But that was weird. Yeah, that was my jellyfish encounter. So after that, I was like, I see these guys in a different way now. I see them cast in a different light, so to speak. Although in reality, I feel like jellyfish would look great in all kinds of light. I mean, just the way that they refract, like, oh, so cool looking. Oh, did I already miss the shot where you can see like it's like an aerial view and you can see the giant, crazy, primordial fish beneath them? This is part of it, but I don't think this is the one I was thinking of. Oh, I hope I didn't miss it because I love it. I love sea monsters. I love them. Don't tell anybody, but oh, they're so cool. Especially the fake ones. Oh, they're so neat. Yeah, I might have missed it already. Yeah. That's a big one, though. That's kind of cool. I'm assuming they're all made up. I've never seen anything like these, even in like dinosaur books, things like that. Ah, it's so neat. They're up by the tops of the trees and everything. It's so cool. Look out for those electrical wires, though. Oh my gosh. That would be a problem. This is one of my... I don't know how I feel about this scene. This is the baby scene. And it's not that, like, the scene, whatever, the interaction is fine, but what is the point of it? like from a movie perspective, like a storytelling perspective, like what does this do for the story? And I guess I really shouldn't be asking that in a Miyazaki movie because, his stuff is kind of famous for, like, things are going to happen. Not everything is going to be useful. But this one in particular, like, what? They have sandwiches, so they give the baby a sandwich. But she's like, the baby can't eat a sandwich because it's a baby. It seems like a good moment to catch up on my beverage because why any of this? Did they just need to fill time? Oh no, she has soup also, I guess. Sosuke is very cute in his whole captain hat. It's very funny. It's very nice. You know what? Animated show has a good baby. Is Primal, which I just talked about not that long ago. I made a little thing about Primal, which is it's that Gendy Tartakovsky show for Adult Swim that I think they're gonna do another season of it. But in a flashback, we very briefly see Spear with one of his babies when it's like just born, and it's a great baby. It's a very round, fat baby, and it's great. It's a very good baby design. Those are my two standards for animation quality in general: is how well they get the babies, like infants, and how well they do cats. Because if you look at how cats are animated and modeled in different kinds of animation, it's actually kind of interesting. And each one, different people know how to capture the cat essence in different ways, but it all feels true to the animal. It's pretty great. Keep an eye out for animated cats. I guess this is like the whole town on these other couple boats, and they got flags for some reason. I don't know if they're nationalist flags. I can't read Japanese characters at all, so I have no idea what they say. Maybe they just say, "Hello, we are okay. I hope you are okay too." Is that Mount Fuji? What? Look, we got sandwiches here. This is all our food, and we're on a tiny boat, but would you like our sandwiches? It's character development, I guess, for Ponyo. But don't worry, they have like a half-used candle you can take along because they brought candles. Everybody's prepared for emergencies except for me. I don't have my candles. I'm sorry about that. That baby's sick now? Oh, that's the other thing, I guess. Is that the point of the scene? To show that Ponyo has, like, Jesus healing powers or something? Or does she, like, remove the moisture from the baby? That seems like a monster thing. I don't understand. They're not going to fit Lisa on that little boat. Come on. Come on now, guy. This girl's like, "Hey, Sosuke, you want to pick me up? Literally?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "No, thank you. I am okay." Don't worry, we've got our military references here just in case you wanted to escape that for a while. Weird military guys running the town now. Those are cool birds. Those look great. Good birds. This looks like a resort now over there. What is that? Is that the old folks' home? That looked nice. I want to take my next vacation there. I'm just kidding. I don't take vacations. Got a weird lizard there. I like him. I would have a plush toy of him. Yes, please. Just kind of hanging out. This is a nice calm setting here. Oh, here we get some nice big fish under there. Swims through trees. Just another great image. Just another iconic image from Miyazaki and team. Watch out for that hot wax. That's dangerous. Is Ponyo like out of life force now? Is that what it was? She made the baby unsick and now her life juice is gone? Hmm. Was she expected to light it on fire? Did she do that earlier? Huh. I must have not been paying very good attention. Of course not. I was talking about who knows what at that point. Selkies? Dinghy listings on Craigslist? Probably. Oh boy, Sosuke's really putting in the work now. That would not be a fun time, especially with prehistoric fish swimming around your feet. Nothing. I searched Craigslist for Ponyo memorabilia. Don't know why. Not a lot of results, actually. I guess it's way too late to mention this as well, but one of my factors in deciding what movie that I wanted to do like a little watch along commentary for was accessibility. Like, how readily people can access whatever given movie or show or whatever. And I was kind of split on Ponyo because, as we all know, here in the US, it's been made confusingly difficult for us to access a lot of the classic Ghibli movies because they were released to Netflix for just about everywhere else in the world except for like Japan and North America or something like that. Which doesn't make a lot of sense because that's what we do here now. We stream stuff. So it's kind of torn because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if people will be able to track down Ponyo super easily. But A, I think it's okay to listen to this without watching the movie as well. I hope. And B, I think a lot of people who are big fans of this already have it on like DVD or Blu-ray or some kind of collection, already, if they happen to collect that kind of stuff. And C, and this is definitely something I should have brought up at the beginning of the video, but if you're not already aware, it is possible to access stuff on Netflix that isn't coded for your country by using a VPN and accessing a server in another country where that content is available. So technically speaking, it is actually pretty easy for just about everybody with a Netflix account to actually see this movie. They just have to do a little bit of inconvenient workaround stuff because for some reason, Ghibli, Miyazaki, or whoever's making those business decisions decided that we shouldn't be able to stream it easily unless we want to pay like $20 on Amazon to watch it. So I apologize if this wasn't the most accessible piece of media I could have chosen, but I like it enough that I thought it would be. And also, like, even if you're not actively watching it right now, chances are you can picture just about every scene in your head. Like, I feel like if even if this is a movie that you've only seen once or twice, it's just very memorable as compared to a lot of other contemporary work. Certainly, a lot of other contemporary animated work. And that's definitely how it was for me. Even after seeing it for like the first time, I had a pretty good. I was like, oh yeah, remember that part? And there was that other cool part, and there was that weird image over here, and there was my favorite sequence where they're just in the house and the power's out and they're doing a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, I guess I also wanted to mention that was a fun voice crack thing. I don't know what that was. But I wanted to mention that one of my favorite viewing experiences of Ponyo was actually kind of unexpected. I've never actually gotten to see it in the theater. That would be really cool. And I don't know if film prints exist of this movie. I'm sure a handful do. It would be really cool to see on film. That tends to be a very enjoyable experience in a theater. So I haven't gotten to do that yet. Maybe one day. But there was a time where I got to see it kind of in like a screening room setting. Basically, I had a friend. I knew someone who worked at like a film center kind of place, and they were working there at the time. And I stopped by to help out with a few things. And they were doing some little tiny screening for an independent documentary thing. It was really cool. We got to talk with the filmmakers a little bit, and there was a decent crowd and everything. But after everybody cleared out, my friend was like, well, you know what? I've got to like shut the place down. But there's no big pressure, like it's not like we have to lock everything up right away or anything. So like, do you just want to hang out and watch a movie? Because we got this nice projector here. we got this big screen, we got these nice comfy seats. It would be fun to just watch a movie. And I said, yeah, definitely. And they had this huge library of like basically every format. So you had like tons of VHS stuff. You had DVDs and Blu-rays, just a whole wall of different movies and stuff. And they also had a ton of film reels. And it would have been really cool to watch something on film and do a film projector thing. We didn't. We ended up putting on Ponyo instead. And I don't remember, I think it was just because, like, why not something nice and easy and pleasant and also not very long so that we can get out of here in a decent amount of time. Anyway, long story short, so we had this, like, little screening room all to ourselves, and we just got to enjoy Ponyo with a nice 5.1 surround system and everything, and it was great. Just completely empty, which, like... Even in actual movie theaters, that tends to be my preference. Like, I think some of my absolute favorite movie-going experiences have been when there was, like, barely anyone else even in the theater. There have even been a few times where I think I was the only person in the theater. Actually, that's even a good time to... real quick, I wanted to say, I love the image of Lisa talking to Ocean Water Mom, and that we never get to hear what they say. It's one of my favorite things about this movie. A lovely image, and the mystery is really nice, but we still get the sense that they're talking about important stuff. I guess they're technically talking about Ponyo and things like that, maybe, but like I want to imagine they're just having a nice heart-to-heart and getting along. And it's so much fun that all the old ladies get to be active again and participate in the joy of movement. Oh, that's great. But I wanted to tell a real quick story about, one of my favorite movie-going things was back in college, I guess, and it was a thing where, like a lot of schools, they have, like, a program where they'll show movies that are open to the general public, but, like, students can go for free or, like, next to nothing to see these movies and special screening events and stuff. And there was going to be a screening for a little independent movie called Little Rock, which... I've never heard anybody talk about it, but it's about a Japanese brother and sister who are visiting the American Southwest because they want to visit it's a museum about the Japanese internment during World War II. Very sad topic, so we won't dwell on that, but it's a cool little movie. It's fine. I thought it looked interesting, so I said, I'll go. I ended up going by myself, and a nice big theater and very cozy because it was at night, and in particular... in the run-up to the movie, because I always show up way too early for movies, because I have a certain amount of anxiety about missing stuff, and I even love previews and stuff. I love it. I am 100% certain that whoever they got to project all these movies were just like film students, who like happen to know how to do the stuff and were doing some kind of work study thing, or maybe it was a volunteer thing. Anyway, whoever was projecting the movie also got to choose the music that they would play, because it was an independent theater. It's not like they were going to play commercials like you'll see in a big AMC theater or something like that. So they just play whatever music they felt like until the movie was going to start. And on that particular night, in a completely empty theater, the projectionist had decided to play several songs from a Joan of Arc album. And I don't know if you're a big fan of Joan of Arc. It's kind of the spin-off band that the main dude from Cap'n Jazz started after that project ended. And I will find the name of the album in Spotify right now because I actually kind of like it. But where is it? I didn't know who it was at the time. I didn't know the music. And it was from this... the album is How Memory Works. Yeah, which is one of their very first ones, I think. And, in particular, I really remember they played A Pale Orange and another song called A Party Able Model Of, which is not catchy. But I just listened to the lyrics and I had to look them up later because I was like, this is so cool. Like, for the setting in particular... the music was just perfect and like minimal and cozy, but still modern and interesting and kind of weird. And And I still like that record today for very different reasons, but I will forever associate that handful of songs with that experience in particular. And and even in general, I think that also established some kind of preference for just like, I really like just being in a theater with not that many people in it, and it's just really quiet and low lit and nice. And that's kind of what it was like to watch Ponyo at a little film center kind of place. And maybe one day I'll get to see it in the theater and enjoy. I'm sure the sound in particular would be really, really nice to experience on a big fat system. I think that would be really neat. And here, the sort of mean old lady is helping save Ponyo, who has transformed back to a fish temporarily. I didn't think she would for the rest of the movie, but here she is. She's fine. Don't worry about it. We get a slow-mo sequence, which probably took many cells to animate. Oh, and all the big scary fish monsters are coming up, taking them down to the place. And there's Liam Neeson, he's in a different outfit now. That was not the thing he was wearing underneath his smock earlier. Not at all. And he's got a little shutter light on his thing too. I guess it's kind of standard issue, isn't it? Kind of a safety thing on boats. Oh, good. They didn't drown. That's very nice of the Fish sisters. That's good of them to do. Mm-hmm. There's Lisa. She's just like, hey, what's going on? The craziest thing happened to me today. Aw, how nice. How nice. And they catch the old lady. Ponyo. Is this old lady Yoshi? Is that her name? She's like, what's going... What? I thought you were all dead. Are we dead? Oh, there's Mother Nature. Kind of. There's the goddess Hylia, maybe? Oh, we're nearing the end here, aren't we? Oh, really coming down to it now. Do you know that Ponyo was a fish? Yes, I was there. Oh. She's almost human. She tasted human food and human blood, and I guess that was enough to kind of transform her. Do you ever feel like you're half fish and half human? I feel like that's a very Monday morning kind of feeling, if you know what I mean. Her necklace is not her jewelry is not my favorite in general. I don't know why that came to mind, but oh, Ponyo's like, hey, Mom, I know this is kind of wild, but I really like ham. And also a boy. Which is really, I guess that's relatable. That's not relatable. I don't know why he said, I don't even like ham. Let alone small 5-year-old animated boys. Oh, it's time to finish this drink, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Maybe have some water, too. It's very healthy. Got to stay hydrated, don't you? Thank you, Ponyo's mother. We're not going to give you a name. You need to remain mysterious. So you will not... Oh, the planet's safe again. Oh. I guess that was the test. That was the climax right there, in case you missed it. The climax was just like a thing that happened over the course of a few seconds, and now everything's fine. Don't gotta worry about it. I don't even remember what's the last shot of this movie. Like, how does it end? This isn't the ending right here, is it? Whoa, they look kind of weird when they're stretched out, huh? Oh, there she is. She looks like rose quartz there a little bit. Grandma mère. So like grandma or like great mother? Huh. Is that her name? Oh, they're back. They're safe now. They're on land again. And their clothes weigh 1,000,000 pounds because they're soaked in water. Wait, are they good for now? Like forever? Can they just walk now? That's pretty cool. Someone's yelling outside. I guess they knew I was about ready to wrap up, and they were like, "Let's just start yelling. Let's just yell. Have a yelling conversation on the street." That sounds like a good plan. He looks like a barber, Liam Neeson. I don't know. Needs a haircut though, doesn't he? Where do barbers cut their own hair? Has this been answered before? I'm sure someone's answered it before. I want to know. Is this the end? This is the end of the movie, isn't it? This is like the very end. It's Koichi. Who's Koichi? His dad? Is Ponyo going to transform back or what? Oh, here we go. There's the famous shot. There it is. Oh. That's it. Well, look at that. We did it, everybody. We did it. We just enjoyed Ponyo. I do not like this song very much. I'm not afraid to tell you. She's a little girl with a round tummy. Are these the right lyrics? I love all these fun little icons, though. They're very nice. I would have them in like pin form. Like if I could get a little pin of each one, I would buy them all. It's a great merchant. Why is there a gun? Who had a gun? An opossum? What are they? Oh, and a hamburger. Well, now I want a hamburger. God damn it. Is it too late to get it? It's not late at all. Oh my goodness. As I'm recording this, it is not even 8 p.m., but it's so dark out that it feels like the end of time. Well, those are cute little cats too. Yeah. Those are nice. My cat just wants to sleep, don't you? You want to sleep some more? Does that sound good? I mean, it's good. I mean, you've been well behaved, so I appreciate that. And is that it? There's the end. Let me finish my drink. Oh, man. Gonna have some water. Oh, my goodness. Well. First up, if you have made it this far and you happen to get to this part of the video, I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you for joining me for this little, I guess I'll call it an experiment, you know? It's an experiment in coziness. I just wanted to try something nice and easy, and not just for myself, because, you know, this isn't a great deal of work. It's just fun and relaxing, but at the same time, I hope that it has been somewhat relaxing for you as well, because I feel like it's a good time for that. I feel like it's a very good time at the end of this calendar year to say, you know what, I'm just going to take a little bit easy. I'm just going to go a little bit easy on myself. I'm going to lighten up my schedule. I'm just going to do what I need to do and take some time for myself enjoy some of my favorite animation. And in particular, I think Ponyo and a lot of the Ghibli films are one of the best things we can bond over. Because aren't they just so pleasant? Aren't they just such a nice time? They're such a source of comfort for me, definitely. Like I said, Kiki's Delivery Service, definitely. Spirit Away is just one of the most gorgeous pieces of animation I think I've ever seen. I'll go ahead and say that. And I'm so appreciative that I can just watch this stuff basically whenever I feel like it. And it seemed like the perfect time to dive back into one of my favorites and to share the experience with you in some very small way. With that said, I guess I don't have too much else to say as I wrap up. But thanks again for stopping by and visiting for a little while. And I hope you're staying safe and happy and healthy and taking everything in stride. And yeah, it's been an interesting year. And it's been an interesting year for what we've put out here on the channel and on the website. And yeah, it's been cool to see how people have responded to everything. And we hope to do a lot more of that stuff in the very near future. So yeah, feel free to say hi to us on any of the social media stuff we have, which is not too much. I mean, we do have a Twitter, but it's not the best. We're not crazy about Twitter. Say on the website, you can leave a comment here on the YouTube service, and that's about it. Make yourself a hot toddy sometime. They're actually pretty good. And outside of that, always make sure that you have at least 2 nice warm blankets. That's it. Goodbye.